Are you on a healing or spiritual awakening journey and you're finding that the people around you who you used to know, maybe even for your whole life, are now dropping away and you're worried that something is really wrong and you want to know what to do about it, what it means? Stick about. So maybe you are on an inner healing journey. You have decided enough is enough with certain patterns and ways of behaviour that you may have learned even very young in life, or you may have picked up from people around you, certain things that you may have done in a loop continuously, these cycles throughout your life. Maybe you reached a point of, what am I doing? I'm not happy with this anymore. Or maybe it was something a lot more spontaneous, like a spiritual awakening that just appeared in the right time. So when we start to go within like this, so many things will start to shift within ourselves. And what's happening within is we're letting go of all these old ways of being and these old thought patterns, these old cycles. And the more that happens, the more it's like we're shedding an old skin. Like, if you've had a wound and there's like a little like a bit left over, like a scab or something, and it takes as long as it needs to heal, and then one day it just falls off and it's like clear, fresh skin underneath. So it's kind of like that with healing. It's also a bit like a caterpillar becoming a moth or a butterfly. It starts out quite a dense and heavy creature on the ground, and then it goes within this cocoon and it's writhing around. Actually, a cocoon is a place of pain and really forced much transformation. And then what happens when the cocoon falls off, the moth or the butterfly is only a fraction of the size it was when it was a caterpillar, and it sheds all of that old stuff, and now it's so light that it can actually fly up into the trees. So this is what happens to us when we go through major healing. Another way it can happen is sometimes if people have health concerns in their life and then they're really scared for their lives, and then they overcome it and they feel like this new sense of life, a new lease on life, and a whole new life. So there's many ways that this kind of way that we see life in different ways can happen. So what happens when we change on the inside? This is like the Hermetic philosophy quote: as within, so without, as above, so below, as the universe, so the soul. So what happens when we change within is that our external world actually reflects that. And so when we were in this unhealed place, we may be attracting certain types of people into our lives. Like, say, for instance, when I used to be an unhealed empath, I was too selfless. I over-explained myself and I felt responsible for everyone's well-being. And what I was actually doing was I was attracting to me people who are on the opposite end of the spectrum, who were as unhealed as me. So they were on the same energy frequency as me, but they were the ones that were maybe, some of them, too selfish, not explaining enough, not feeling responsible for anyone, including themselves. So we were attracted to each other because we had lessons to learn from each other and we were on the same energetic wavelength. But then as I've healed out of all these things, now I find that people who were on that level to me, they and I no longer resonate with each other. So now, instead of being attracted to each other, we're actually kind of repelled from each other. And that's a good thing, because it means that I've evolved so much that the people who I used to attract to me for the lessons I needed to learn are now no longer aligned with what I need for my continued evolution. So you may find that you've got friends, relatives, colleagues, whatever it is, maybe friends that you've had for decades and people who just are so familiar to you. But if you've been on a healing or awakening journey, which is the same thing really, only with awakening, it can be like extremely accelerated and just extreme on massive levels, like a big bang. But either way, whatever way that you're going through this healing journey, then you may reach a point where you start to feel like the people you used to connect with regularly are no longer on your wavelength. And maybe even some of them don't want to actually connect with you anymore. And you may think, God, what's wrong with me? What have I done? Why do these people not want to hang out with me? Or maybe feeling guilty. Why do I not want to hang out with these people anymore? It's because you are now on different frequencies. So have you ever tried to speak to someone about something that you're really passionate about and the other person doesn't get it at all? And it doesn't matter how slowly you say it, how many ways you say it, which terms you use even. They might just look at you blankly like, what? And you're thinking, God, like, why doesn't this person get what I'm trying to explain? And they're probably thinking, I don't know what the bloody hell they're on about. Why do they keep trying to tell me this thing? It's just not going in. I don't care. It's not resonating. It's because you're on a different frequency. So when we're starting to do this major healing and awakening, then this is what's going to start happening. So to flip the entire perspective of it, what if this is happening because you have healed and raised your frequency so much that now these people are no longer a part of your tribe? And by trying to force yourself back into these places that you no longer fit, you're actually taking up space that is meant for the ones who are now on your evolved, raised frequency. So I'm not saying just like ditch everyone you used to know, but if there's certain people who you used to hang out with all the time and now it kind of feels tiring or like you have to compress yourself back into an old version of you to keep interacting with them regularly, then maybe they're not someone that you need to see as often. Still be friends with them, but maybe like give a little bit more space to your connection, a bit more breathing room. And this space that you've made within yourself by doing this amazing healing work, and this space you now feel from noticing that disconnect between you and certain people you used to know, what about giving yourself the breathing room and the stillness, like a lake, compared to, like a winter's crazy sea is crashing around when the mind is so busy and full of, I have to do this, I should do that. If we let go of some of that, I have to, I should, no, you don't. All you have to do is what feels right for your body, for your heart and your soul and your intuition. So letting go of some of those things that are no longer aligned with you, then this makes more and more space. And what happens is that in that space is where the connections that are now on this frequency you've raised up to, they now have a chance to come into your life. And to meet people who are on your raised frequency is the most amazing, sacred, beautiful feeling ever. It's just so freeing and enriching to be able to, say for instance, for me, I'm quite a naturally intense, deep spiritual person. So I used to try to be less of who I am because I didn't want to overwhelm people around me, but they were just not my people. So by now letting that go and by being my authentic self, I am now able to be this with people who are genuinely on the same frequency as me. I don't have to try to be less of who I am. I don't try to fit into some place and some scenario that's not for me. So the healing that you've been doing is the most beautiful, sacred thing ever. And I just encourage you to really, really nurture and embrace and respect that by making this space. You've made all of this amazing space and you've raised yourself up to this amazing place, like one of those moths or butterflies, right? So now allow that external environment to come and match what you now are, which is your authentic, healed, empowered self. I would love to know if this has resonated. Please drop a little comment if you're on this journey, if you've been worrying about, maybe, oh, why is it that people I used to know are no longer hanging out with me? Or should I try to fit myself back in? Has this video given you a little bit of permission to let go of that and to see it in a new way? And if you're enjoying this content, give a like or a sub, and I'll see you next time. Bye.